Welcome back to the Tailosive EV podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We are without Model Y Mike. We apologize. Hopefully, we'll see him again soon. He's got busy life stuff going on, and everyone's busy, like I mentioned last week. So I appreciate everyone for squeezing in the time. We now have a 66% Model 3 podcast, I think.
I feel
Are we
very
including
offended
you,
and
Drew?
attacked.
The moment Tesla
I
gets
count.
your money, I will include. The moment Tesla gets your cash, I will include you as one of my brethren. Until then,
They have $250 of my cash.
that doesn't even give you a percent of that vehicle.
It's a percent. It's just incredibly
It's
small.
just a very small one. Yeah.
It's not a whole.
Yeah.
It's not voting rights percentage. So
It's not voting rights. Although you could buy a Founder Series Roadster and not have voting
This is
rights,
true.
unfortunately.
isn't that weird?
But
Hey, guys.
it feels
How are you
like
Good.
pretty good.
Long
It's
time
good
no
to see
talk.
you guys again.
5
I
months
know.
ago.
It's been forever.
It's been.
I feel like Tesla basically just watched last week's episode. And
you can't convince me that didn't happen.
one of those 500 views was Elon. Because
definitely.
we kept coming back to the same conclusion. They just need to add it to the configurator. And that's pretty much exactly what they did.
Yeah, I
He
saw a
heard me
tweet
say,
about that.
treat like any other vehicle, add it at checkout. And lo and behold, they were like, you know what? That really good looking loud guy is onto something.
Yeah. Which one? But there's
Yesn't.
now estimated delivery pushback for the mobile connector. So why do you think Elon's argument was that the usage rates were super
That
low?
wasn't
Do you think he
the
was
reason.
lying?
He was lying. Or someone was lying to him.
It was a lie. Yeah.
Ooh.
I am not a crook.
Someone was lying to him also could make sense.
Yeah.
So I went on Tesla last night just to, as one does, acting like I'm about to buy another Model 3. And
You went
if
on them.
I went from July to August with the mobile connector because August was the earliest the connector was going to ship. It pushed my
Correct.
delivery to August,
Yeah.
which means I can get my car before then. But funny, why would something that's not in demand be so sold out till August? That doesn't add all the math. Unless you were lying.
Yeah. To me, it's such a weird thing to lie about because it's like the shortage of connectors is a completely different situation.
Mm-hmm.
I completely side with Tesla in the argument of getting rid of the connector from each vehicle. If it's going to hold up deliveries because you don't have connectors, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have any disagreement with that. I did have the disagreement with them claiming it's because people aren't using it.
Yeah. That was a
So,
dumb reason.
like, because that was not a logical reason, and also it's something that's going to tick a bunch of people off because you're implying this is not a useful accessory.
And the data's right there. Like you said, like the moment, if I don't need a mobile connector, I can get it in July. A Model 3 that I built out. I was like, standard range, free colored this, the included wheels bring me up, doesn't delay nothing. Like, all of a sudden, not July, August, or not August, September, but July. And then I go, add a connector, whatever. Boom, August. Like, as soon as we get his August, car will be delivered August. Well, that doesn't go with the narrative. It is a weird thing to lie about. I'm not saying maybe Elon directly, but somebody somewhere in Tesla lied. So
I'm sure he's busy, but probably maybe saw everyone freaking out about it, and he texted, "Are we not including the connector anymore?" And their response was, people aren't using it. So he went, "Okay," and then went on Twitter.
Yeah. And then
Our
the guy who
data set-
Sounds
texted
good.
that to him is just like, oh, shoot.
come back saying, you are fired.
I think what ticks me off the most is always like the one word or one little extra phrase. He didn't just say mobile connector usage was low. He said it was super low.
Mm-hmm.
And every other crowdsourced data, which is capturing thousands and thousands of owners charging stats is showing it as basically the most popular charging method. Everything
Yep.
else is below the mobile connector. So
It's not just low.
the emphasis on it being super low. Same thing with the like self-driving. It's not just that you call it self-driving, you call it full self-driving. When you absolutely can't look away from the road for a split second. You can't take your hand off the wheel. And you're emphasizing the full part. You don't want to just call this partial self-driving or self-driving. You want to
Enhanced
say
autopilot.
full.
current.
It's
partial
always the
self-driving
one-word
with the
thing.
promise of full self-driving at some point in the future, possibly.
The autopilot
Full.
on airplanes is more autonomous than what you could do with a Model 3, Model Y.
No,
Yes, it is.
I'd say it's less.
no.
It is less liability to the pilot because they can look away.
They can have it
No.
on their they do have protocol in place to do what they got to do to acknowledge that somebody, whether it's pilot or co-pilot, somebody is being attentive to.
So there's
the,
always
the
a pick,
control center.
pilot in command. There's always a pick. There's always a pilot in command. And
Nick.
whether or not they
There's a-
utilize the autopilot to assist them, they're still in command. And the reason why I said no, the autopilot on the airplane is not simpler than the autopilot on the Model 3.
I didn't say
at least
simpler,
from the user.
more autonomous.
It's not more autonomous. No, it is all radio based. You have to set waypoints. You have to set destinations. You have to set altitudes. You have to set
Yeah.
degree headings. You have to.
I just mean he can step away. He doesn't have to nag.
Okay, so I don't have a y-axis to work off of, but I have I have waypoints plugged in. I do my thing, but I have to be like this at all
yeah.
times.
The difference
camera's
is
on me.
you on your monitor punch in the Apple Store in the mall, and the car figures out the route and all that. But the pilots have to sit there and type in radio waypoints throughout their route. That some computer did spit out a list of the radio beacons, but then they have to input that into the system, into the flight computer, and then the altitudes, and they're still on the radio.
But they're not doing that constantly when they turn on auto. Once it's all set up, yeah, there's more setup for it. But then they can step away and eat their lunch or whatever.
Sure. I mean, technically, you could do.
You
that.
don't
I
have
get
you
what
don't
he's
have to
saying.
make contact with something every 15 seconds.
No.
So
That was his
a
point.
pilot flying an aircraft has more autonomy than a model anything from Tesla.
Probably just because
Nick
there's more to
Sweeney
do
does
for a
not
pilot
agree
in the
with
first
Randy's
place.
statement on the Taylor's of EV podcast. Let the record state that.
I presented my
fine.
case.
And I could not disagree more.
Let's hear what the comments say. on
Yes,
this
let
one.
us
I'm
know in the
curious
comments
now.
down below.
Yeah,
It boosts
We'll
engagement.
put it to a vote.
we'll put it to a vote.
But there's
Yes.
absolutely more complexities. There's more things to do in a plane. So that's where I think he's coming from. Is like the plane is covering more tasks than the Tesla's covering because
So
liability wise,
I didn't say simpler.
you're just like
I just said more autonomous.
no. It's definitely not simpler. I don't think anyone's advocating.
I would say
for
it's
that.
very much not more autonomous because with the EV, all you do is boom, boom, and it figures out, oh, I'm on the highway.
Well, you're right,
or
Nick.
I'm
Actually,
on
what
a
I
side
did say
street.
was the enhanced autopilot is weaker than what you would get flying an aircraft. That's actually what I said. I said autopilot, your cruise control autopilot that you have going on in an aircraft is simpler than enhanced autopilot or autopilot, whatever you call it now with a model anything. It's more convoluted on a Tesla than it is on an aircraft. It is more autonomous in that sense. That's what I said. Because you don't
No,
have to
I'm
make the
completely
fact that you don't have to make
confused,
contact
so
with something every 15 seconds right there. Like, okay. But
It's a weird comparison because
where I was
there's
going at with that,
so
by the
many-
way, Drew, before we did that, was that full self-driving. Full, that word, full self-driving.
that implies like no involvement at all, and we are so far from that. Yeah, there's
Partial
so
self-driving.
much. I could understand that description. That's
No,
Like,
if
that
they wanna
doesn't sell
rebrand-
$12,000 worth of software.
They just got to rebrand it. possibility of full self-driving at some point in the future, maybe kind of probably.
Yeah.
That's the name
we
of the
promise full self-driving at some point
feature. Promise full self-driving. There you go.
PFSD.
this year. Elon Musk trademark.
It's
Right.
like Tesla's
Later this
like,
year.
and we're gonna announce a new autopilot options called PSD, and it's
PTSD.
probably self-driving.
PTSD is what you're gonna get if you have to keep your safety score at 100. Oh,
What's your
That
what's your
messed me
safety
up.
score, Randy?
I don't have one.
Oh yeah, he goes away on the beta,
Yes, sir.
so
It's gone.
you're good. You can drive like a maniac now.
And
Oh,
I
really?
have.
Even with Tesla insurance?
I don't have Tesla
Well, he doesn't
insurance.
have that. So
I thought you did.
USAA, my friend.
USAA.
The greatest.
Oh, okay.
of course,
Okay.
he's the USAA guy. I'll be on Tesla insurance, but they can't use my safety score, unfortunately. They haven't added new people to the beta in a long time, which is making me like, okay, I should probably not subscribe to FSD until I hear they're adding people again, because I don't want to have to subscribe to this thing for 3 months
Yeah.
to not get the beta. So
Yeah.
I'll probably just use it with standard autopilot until I hear that they're rolling it out. I mean, according to Elon, he says they're going to full release, or at least not full release, but everybody with FSD will have the beta by the end of the year. Let's
Nope, I don't believe
let's
it.
hold our breath on that one.
Yep, I'm not buying it. Sorry. Sorry,
I'm sure
Elon.
they want to do that.
Oh yeah, sure. Oh,
Right.
I bet they want their robotaxi right now, and the Tesla bot yesterday. I don't doubt ambition. I doubt timelines. It's a tricky thing. The
Yes.
pipeline is so convoluted, and there's so many moving parts and external factors. I don't
For sure.
blame Tesla for not meeting these deadlines. I just don't believe the deadlines. I believe their spirit, and I support the spirit. I just don't. It's like it's not your call, Tesla. I'm sorry. Like you have to go through all these other regulatory approval things, and you got to, get on the good side with government. So you got to shimmy, rub elbows with politics. The whole thing is so convoluted. And you know what? If Tesla or if Elon could just buy everything else like he buys Twitter, maybe we would have a more streamlined process. But until that happens, we have to play. We all play by the same rules, and it would be cool. It would be cool if it was at the end of the day that at least everybody would be on the beta. That shows promise, not promise.
We're
like,
not saying the beta's perfect or
no,
the beta's
no,
done.
no.
Because it's beta. That
It's
that
beta.
doesn't make sense.
It just shows
But-
promise in the on the back end that like we have made it this far, and no one else has. Like that right there. It's like, okay, bring out your trucks before us. That's fine. We have the network. We have the software. You have something that looks like everything
right.
else.
Did you catch the F-150 Lightning launch event?
I was
No, I
working,
didn't.
man. I didn't.
Ooh, how bad was it?
It was pretty weird.
Yay!
They kept calling it a launch, but they didn't deliver any vehicles.
I don't
like-
think that
Sounds like a
means what they
certain
think it means.
Texas-based gigafactory that I've heard of.
It would make sense if they were like, and now first deliveries, and they just drive across stage. So Tesla's delivered 4680 Model Ys to employees, but I didn't see Ford didn't even do that. They were like, the first deliveries will begin in the coming weeks.
That does not.
I was like, what was this for? Like, why are we here? Like, that's what I thought it was. I
This
thought
is
it
the
was going to be a
pre-launch
delivery
launch.
event. They reached out to reservation holders. They were like, what are you going to use your truck for? And they really emphasized, for one, I should just highlight that they really wanted to double down on they're better than Tesla and we are going to beat Tesla, which I thought was a bad move because anyone who tries to go watch the Super Bowl ads, all it did was cause a surge in Tesla orders. It's like, first of all, they highlighted people who said, I'm picking up a Lightning. We're trading in our Tesla. They played it 13 times in a row in slow motion and zoomed in on it and played party music as he said that. But we're like, look, this guy has a Tesla and he's getting the Lightning. It's like, I don't blame him. The Lightning's an amazing deal. You're losing like $50,000 on those things. Of course people want them. I would buy a Lightning just because it's so cheap and
Listen,
you can
that
use it
is
as a
where-
power wall.
Yeah, that right there is only like I had this conversation with Brittany. I was like, I know you hate Ford. I love you.
Ooh,
You're my
yeah.
rock. Hear me out. One is shipping. One is giving us this price. The battery bank alone would help
Yeah.
us in certain situations if we wanted to go that route.
Yeah,
The next best thing that I would favor as a fanboy, Rivian. Here's the price point now that we're looking at with Rivian. And then and then
yeah, way up there.
our love of the heart, we don't even have a final if today and 2 years ago we're at the same spot. We want it, of course, but
It being Cybertruck, is that what you're talking?
yeah.
Okay,
Just
I
simplicity.
just want to be clear.
The
'cause
simplicity.
I knew, but maybe not everybody.
Oh yeah. The simplicity of just using one infrastructure, one network,
Oh yes,
one app,
the Lightning is gonna suck on road trips. I'm just gonna
One-
throw that out there now.
one key, one profile, one. Dude, yeah, of course I want the Cybertruck. I want Tesla to be my end all be all. But if we had, and the context is we had to get something soon. A $40,000, fully subsidized.
Fully
It
subsidized.
is fully subsidized.
Right. It's fully subsidized by the Biden administration.
Can I try edit?
I was talking about the gas cars that were subsidizing the cost of the Tesla
Me
vehicle, but I
too,
guess
but
that
no,
too.
Drew makes a very perfect point.
They did come forward and they said that Ford's EVs are not expected to be profitable until their second generation, whichever that means. But
Yeah.
it confirmed my suspicion they are absolutely losing money on every Lightning sold. So I don't blame people for getting it. It's an incredible value. It's just not. It's not that Ford has miraculously figured out a way to create a product that cheap. It's like no, they're just eating it.
Yeah,
is
no, this is
face
the cost
planting
of
the
doing
profits
business
that-
to get market share of something. This is I'm late to the game and I need to do something. This is the Disney Plus launching their services and then hopefully that they can overcome whatever the heck that was with Netflix. You know what I mean? Like that that this is them
Yeah.
saying, look at us, look at us, look at this, look at this. Drew, 2019 or 2020, you can't afford not to get this.
Right. That's where a lot of people are right now. It's like, if you can reserve any electric truck, you probably should, because it seems like they're all going to be back ordered for
Yeah.
the next 5 years anyway. So I saw Dirty Tesla do that. He just reserved a Silverado. He was like, I don't even know if I'm going to go through with this. I just feel like electric trucks are hard to come by and really back ordered. So I just
Yeah.
going to reserve one before they turn it off. And I get it. It kind of makes sense. But yeah, was it Jim Farley? The CEO was like, you can even charge other EVs with your Lightning, like your friends with Teslas.
Right.
And
Yeah.
everyone went, oh! And they cut to the audience and they were like, what? And he said something afterwards like, okay, that's not really fair. But, and then he moved on and I was like, correct me people, I don't get the joke.
He's trying to say
Are
that
you-
we have Ford has had a funk up there whatever since the Cybertruck shut up that F-150 thing. Ever since then, Ford was like, "That's it, Tesla." So
I guess Tesla did start it. They
did.
hammered the F-150 on stage, and they did the
but at the same time,
towing
F-150 is the one to beat.
tug
so
of war.
they were the underdog in that situation.
That's true. So it's like F-150 best-selling vehicle in America. If you're releasing a new pickup truck, you basically have to compare it to the F-150.
You do, yeah. But
It's not
Tesla started the
picking
crap
on
talking
Ford.
for sure. They started the
But you could argue Ford's doing the same thing because Tesla's the one to beat in terms of EVs. So they're
That's
It's a
the
rivalry going
dynamic
back
of it.
and
Yeah.
forth.
Okay, we got the best-selling car, but you got the
But-
best-selling EV. How can we flex on each other? And
I just
everybody
don't get
wins.
how people were treating it like a burn, though. Is like that you would. The burn is that you can deplete your F-150 battery and put
the
it
burn
into a
is
Tesla battery.
you need us to help you charge your car.
I guess it just
I mean,
doesn't
since
land
they're
for
not
me because
selling-
the range on the light. Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
Since they're not selling mobile connectors, you do have to get a Lightning to charge your Tesla. That checks out.
Apple would be proud.
In order to charge
That's
your Apple
great. I'm sorry,
what
Watch, you
connector?
have
A
to buy a
Lightning?
Pixel Watch.
Technically, you would still need the mobile connector even if you got the Lightning because the Lightning won't come with that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just was like, the range and the charging and the efficiency of Teslas is far better. So the likelihood of the Tesla range being low and the Lightning range being high.
Logic
It's
doesn't
not.
care about your facts, Drew, quite frankly. Facts don't care about your feelings.
Well, yes.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Drink up.
If we're referring to the Lightning with a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack, you can charge a Tesla, I guess, if you wanted
Feelings
to.
don't care about
No, I
your
just
facts,
mean-
Drew.
Far more likely for you to be low on battery with the Lightning because of how inefficient and how low the range is.
Yeah.
It's like,
That
okay,
you would
sure.
need a Tesla to top it off.
Objectively, you'll have more kilowatt hours at 30% than a Tesla would at 50%. But do those kilowatt hours really mean anything when you can only drive 6 miles? I mean,
Right. It's like, yeah, they have a big battery, but if anything, you're driving a point and you're bringing attention to the fact that if you need to go on a trip, you should take the Tesla because that 100 kilowatt hours would get you further. I don't follow the burn. Is was the argument just as purely simple as, okay, it has a 110 outlet that you can charge off of?
Man, you really want to dissect this. Let's. All right. I'm gonna meet you.
I dissect it because everyone was acting like, oh my god, they called out Tesla.
Well,
they're
to be
burning
fair, I
Tesla.
didn't
I'm like,
see it, so I don't know.
doesn't-
I'm only basing it off of how you're expressing their reactions. I would say the burn is supposed to be. They have the capability of reverse charging. Like here, I can give you some of my. Tesla can't do this. I can help other EVs. I can give you power.
I guess. I just don't know why. I guess my issue with that argument is it makes sense to say you can even charge other EVs. All
Yeah.
right. I get that. That's cool. It's
Yeah.
got an outlet. It's got the plugs. Cybertruck will have the same thing. Pretty much all trucks are going to have that.
Right.
So it's not really a great thing to brag about, but okay. F-150 can charge other EVs. Stop there. That's enough.
No, that's
point has
see
been proven.
now the fanboys have to show up. It's like, and guess
then
what?
you say,
your friend who has
like-
a Tesla in need. There you go. Now you're the better friend for having a Ford Lightning over a model whatever.
For one, it implies that all the people with F-150s are friends with people with Teslas, which is probably true. But
That's now you're getting to the point where you're missing the broader tease of it is that I can help
Teslas
you.
are the most common. Is that the point?
That's
Like-
certainly one way to look at it. I love that. You know what? Yeah, that's it. I love that one. It's more of a that like, okay, you might have the coolest, most popular. You might have the iPhone, but can it reverse charge? It's one of those things. Like we can help you when your iPhone's dying. It's that you have the most popular toy, but we have more functionality, utility for you, and it's a burn.
Just the
because,
range difference, though, makes me feel like.
Well, see, that's the
it's
thing.
like
That's the thing. I'm
bragging
talking
that-
about the range. We're just gonna talk about the fact that like you're dying. I'm so better than you. I'm gonna give you some of my own health. I'm
You're
gonna give
dying?
you some of my own health to make you get to your next stop because I am better than you and I'm that much better than you. Thank me for my
It's
service.
like a cancer. It's like a cancer patient donating their organ to someone who doesn't need it.
oh,
it's like-
hey,
It's okay. Too far. Fine. Let's say it's like the Galaxy Watch saying it can charge an iPhone.
I like the
Okay.
cancer patient.
It's like, of course, Randy prefers the first one. So we've got an analogy for everybody, but it's essentially like saying, yeah, this device could charge yours. It's like, well, I wouldn't be in that scenario, but okay. The iPhone could charge the iPad.
I wouldn't be in a scenario where I
probably
need to
won't.
make a phone call on my watch where I would not have my phone with me. But Apple promotes cellular phone calls on your watch. It's more
They
just to
do.
say that we have the ability to do it. But Yeah,
bring up a specific
it-
brand though. Like they could have said anything. You could have said
you
to
have-
charge your other Mustang.
You have
or,
Apple Sheeps.
You know.
You have Samsung Knights, and you have whatever Ford is with that fan base, albeit maybe toxic or not toxic. Not for me to say. I don't know, but that's just them.
Everyone's toxic.
They're playing to their base. You know. Yeah, everyone's a little. That's fair. Everyone's a little toxic, but they are definitely playing to their base of. And look at this, huh? These up and coming youngsters here. Sit down, young man. We got you. Here, have some juice, and we're gonna charge your battery.
Let the real EVs enter
Yeah.
the picture slower off the line. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the efficiency is like. I was plugging in a better route planner because I was like, okay, maybe one day we do need a truck. We don't really need a truck, but I was like, okay. I would get like the cheapest possible Lightning for sure, just because of the value. So good. Hopefully it's still there. I plugged in the road trip that was going to take, around 14 and a half hours to get to my parents' place.
Yeah.
In the Tesla, the rear-wheel drive one we're getting. It's like, okay, it's going to be a long day. Basically, start driving first thing in the morning and you get there at night. 14 and a half hours. Plugged in that same route with the F-150 Lightning. It was 20 hours.
Oh.
Ooh.
So that's not the same difference of like Model 3 long range versus rear wheel drive. But keep in mind the range is not that different between the Lightning and the rear wheel drive. It's a difference of 230 miles versus 270. So it's a 40-mile range difference.
It's a difference in how quickly you can actually charge too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And how big
the
that battery
F-150
pack
Lightning,
is that you're charging.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everything is stacked up against the Lightning. Not only is the charging network worse because it's EA, which is unreliable, and there's less stations,
Yeah.
but also the Lightning itself, I believe, is capped around 150 kilowatts. So it can't charge that fast, and the efficiency is crap because it's a giant 100 kilowatt hour battery pack.
Right.
And it's not aerodynamic at all, and it's quite big and heavy. So all of the elements stack up against a 20-hour drive is basically not possible. I view that as, okay, it's a 2-day trip. Now you got to book a place to stay or sleep in the car
And then
mid-drive.
just extra days on the road and not home. That just adds
Yeah.
up.
It adds up, and it's I've done the drive to my parents' place in a day, and it's a challenge, but it can be done.
14
20
hours.
hours
Oh,
is
don't.
like-
When I get there, don't talk to me. Like I need.
Oh yeah,
14,
we're going to bed.
Yeah,
when
I don't.
you-
I
when
don't
you
want
arrive.
to. Hi, bye. I don't even want to say that. Like, just quietly let me go to the room, and I need to sleep. I need to recharge. 14 hours is brutal. Yeah.
I'm definitely convinced it'll be a better road trip in the Tesla than the current cars we've done it with.
The fact that you can
Because
just go
we'll have autopilot.
boom.
and-
Yeah, autopilot
Yeah.
alone takes away all that fatigue. As a
I think
cross,
the supercharging stops will help too, because
it's a
give us-
necessary evil. I made it a game with Brittany where she would just stop with me when we drove cross country, and we would use that time to just talk, hang out, give Kika a bathroom break, and
I could stretch.
I could
you know?
stretch. Let's get something to eat, but it's gonna be done before I'm done
With
eating.
the gas car,
Gas car
it's
is
like go, go, go. You
Yeah.
stop at the gas station and you're like, hurry, 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 we gotta
because
go.
you
Gas
have to
pump's
take those
almost full. Let's
breaks
keep
in
going.
between the road trips. You're like, oh, okay, all right, we're doing fine. And then when I get on the road and boom, boom, and that's it, I
Right.
am not tired at the end of the day. When we got to Texas,
Exactly.
on day 2, and I was like, we're stopping in Austin for a couple days to just hang out and hang out with friends and stuff. I had
Right.
so much energy once we got into Austin. I was like, yo, this,
Yeah.
where do you want me to take the car next? And Brittany was like, are you?
Yeah.
Do you want really? And I'm like, yeah, no, let's go. Where we downtown? Let's go downtown. Fine. I had so much.
Yeah.
It's night and
totally
day
believe
difference.
it.
Yeah.
So many people have told me about those road trips and how much better they are. So I'm like, I'm down for it, but I'm not going to have autopilot in the Lightning. It's going to be Blue Cruise, which is basically no.
Yeah.
I don't even think
Yeah.
the base Lightning comes with Blue Cruise. So I don't, yeah, it's not really, it'll have cruise control, I guess. But that is not a road trip machine. Even the long range version is not much better. So
You made the tweet.
it's,
I agree with your tweet. It's a utility. It's a work. That one is what I was trying to compare the Cybertruck. What my takeaway was looking at Cybertruck. That's what this will
Work truck.
most definitely meet the criteria for is stuff in your local business. It's completely enterprise material. It is going to get that job done very well and maybe save some money in the
Drives
process.
from home to the warehouse and back.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it goes.
That's
and it
it.
goes to
Yep.
Home Depot, goes to Lowe's. That's what you'd use the Lightning for. I would
And you
not
can charge the
view
Model
it as
3 that's
a
stuck on the side of the road that doesn't have any range. So you can do that.
because that happens all the time.
Oh, yeah. You see them all the time out there.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for them.
I ran out again. Dang it. But that wasn't even the best part. Okay, so the funniest part of the whole event was he ended it by saying, use Tesla by name, which I thought was impressive. They plan to become the world's top EV maker. And they said that
Wow.
we want to beat Tesla.
And I plan
And-
to be the president one day.
Well, that's more likely, I think. It's not a fair
Ouch.
comparison.
That's a good one for one.
You're too honest to be president, Nick.
Yeah, I know.
You need to start lying a lot
need to
more
lie
if you
more.
want to become
You
Guys,
need
have
to.
you
to
heard of
become
NFTs?
They're a great investment. Nick fungible tokens.
Nick fungible tokens.
You don't want
Buy
any
my
of my
NFT.
funges.
It's a vote.
We're gonna provide stimulus NFTs under the Nick presidency. It's a great concept. Oh, but the funny thing was Jim was like, we're gonna beat Tesla in EV production by, we're targeting 600,000 deliveries next year.
Yeah.
I was like, how's this timeline supposed to be working, Jim? Because Tesla's on track to hit 1.5 million this year. And you're saying we're hitting not even half of that next year?
Yeah.
But he wants to hit 2 million a year by 2026. And again, this is aspirational. This is not confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're exactly right, Tesla's going to break 2 million in 2023. So I don't know what numbers he's looking at, but how exactly
Maybe
He was hoping
maybe
that-
he's thinking with the infrastructure that they have for making them. Maybe he's thinking of how it's going to compound over time, like whether it's double or something. Maybe he thinks he can. Right now, Tesla will hold the lead for a couple of years, but then by 2026, But okay, you know what? By 2030, they will be far ahead of mass production of electric
Tesla's
vehicles.
hoping for 20 million by 2030.
Yeah,
And I believe them. I think they'll hit that, honestly.
they are good.
They
They're good at meeting these numbers. Sometimes they underproject.
usually underproject. Yeah.
Yeah.
We dock them and we meme them for the FSD timelines all
Sure.
the time. I do not dock or meme for the deliveries, though. Those are no joke.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, that should count as more of an accomplishment because
Yeah.
you actually mass-produced a complex object.
You actually have your product in hand with that. The software is software.
People
That's
are
all.
using it. Yeah.
I only feel bad for
And
people who
there's-
lease. That's all. With leasing.
Oh,
Yeah.
present company excluded.
Present company.
Ouch.
excluded. It's okay, Nick. It's not getting FSD, right?
No. Heck no.
Oh, that's what you were referring to. I thought you meant leases in general.
No, I'm saying that receiving their vehicle, you actually receive your product. That's one thing. FSD, we knock them, we tease them. It's software, so it's not as crucial unless you had a lease and you paid for it and you never got it. Then it's like
Right. That was a big miss.
That
They paid for nothing.
that hurts right
Basically.
there. Thank you for free money.
Right.
I feel bad.
I remember how crazy people thought Elon was. Back in 2014, they said they were targeting 500,000 vehicles by 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, that's absurd. The Model X hasn't even launched yet. And everyone's like, you're talking 500,000? You're crazy. And they, even with the factory shutdowns, basically hit that. They were right on it. 500,000. And,
Imagine if there wasn't
I
a chip
expect that
shortage.
to-
Oh my goodness.
oh, yeah. Well, the factory was shut down, I think, for 6 weeks or something. If that shutdown didn't have happened, they would have easily exceeded it. And I think arguably they did if you factor in for rounding errors and
You're right.
leap day. They were less than 0.1% off. So I just say, yes, they achieved it. if someone got something and they were at less than 0.1% margin of error, you would say they hit it. They got it.
Oh, is that why you're saying you're a Model 3 owner? Because you're less than 0.1%, under a 1%, and you're like,
the likelihood of us not getting it is insanely low. Yeah, it's below 0.1%.
Hey, at least you guys are getting your mobile connectors. There's that.
Is that like official?
Do you believe them?
Like, are we actually officially getting mobile connectors?
I saw something. Let me see if I can find it here. I saw something that said anything ordered after the 28th. So yesterday.
Yeah, they changed it.
I saw it.
The website now says the 28th.
Yeah.
So.
No, vehicles ordered placed on or after April 28th, 2022 will not include a mobile connector with delivery. Mobile connector orders with both the NEMA 515 adapter and NEMA 1450 adapter will begin shipping in August 2022.
Okay.
I thought that was cool.
Options. Got to take delivery
both
before
adapters
August and not change my order. Nice.
I think as long as you place the order, you can change it if you want. You're good.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it was the Tesla's delivery growth is insane, and I don't think it gets appreciated enough. The fact that we went from no Model Ys to hundreds of thousands within a single year is like nothing else before.
A lot of reused parts. This is the better version of an iPhone SE. So we had a lot of reused parts put to use with the Model Y to make that happen.
Model 3 and Y are almost the same vehicle. Yeah. So and they're still topping the charts. Mm-hmm. Did you guys see that? That blew my mind. Model 3 was the best-selling car of any kind in Europe.
Ooh. Really?
And they're not even in March for the month of March. They're not even building them there.
Wow.
Those are all imported. And they are getting Giga Berlin, up and running now. And I'm like, can you imagine what the volume is going to be like? And I think Model Y was third place. So it was like, combine those two. That's why I have such a hard time believing Ford. Because when there's a chip shortage on Ford and they still have the dealerships, they will produce a bunch of vehicles and then have them sitting on lots for months waiting for the dealers to sell them. Hopefully the markups are reasonable, right? But like, for one, they don't care about efficiency like at all. The Mach-E is not very good, and the Lightning is only better than the Hummer in terms of energy efficiency. So even if Jim is looking at some crazy miraculous plan to ramp up cell production and they're going to double and double again with batteries, you still need way more batteries per car than Tesla does. Because so far, Ford has 2, maybe 3 EVs if you count the E-Transit. They have the Mach-E, which they're not taking orders for because they were like, this is too hard. And the Lightning. And every Lightning requires at least a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack. Ford's efficiency means that they're going to have to build so many more batteries per car because they're doing 100 kilowatt hour packs and Lightnings, still pretty high end, like 80 or higher kilowatt hours for the Mach-E. Most of Tesla's are all 60, 80 kilowatt hours. Like a lot of the LFP batteries are 60 kilowatt hour, and they said that's like half of their vehicles. So basically what I'm saying is for Ford to match Tesla in EV deliveries, not beat, but just to match them, they would have to build way more than Tesla is. And I don't see that happening because Tesla is ramping batteries faster than anybody.
Yeah.
Already. And they can use less batteries per vehicle. So I don't understand.
This is an interesting dilemma to see what plays out, what wins, what formula wins. Because what Ford has on their side is government backing. They have the support. They have the help. And Tesla
what constitutes as wins in that
right? Battle? So now it's like Tesla, we've been doing this on our own. We are flying high. We are international. We are everywhere where we can get the product to the customer as efficiently as possible, as cheaply as possible. And you want to talk about long-term game. They were playing the long-term game there. Tesla locked in, man. That's cool. No, it's just I'm sorry. I'm thinking about like just how that roadmap played out because now we have a whole different like all American made and all this, but with support of government intervention. And 2008-9 showed us that all right, they're too big to fail. So it is proven that Ford's not going to go anywhere. Time and time again, they will get their bailouts. So what?
I don't think they'll. I do agree they'll go. They'll get their bailouts if necessary, and they won't go away because of the political ties and the UAW, and the union's gonna keep them afloat regardless of how the company performs. I just wouldn't count that as like winning. I think Tesla will be more profitable. I think Tesla will deliver more. Tesla will carry less debt. Tesla will have the higher range, the better product, the more desirable product because more people buy them. So I don't know where the government backing wins Ford. I guess they win the race of
you mentioned
presidential endorsement.
Sure. Well, you mentioned that they have more. They're producing more battery packs. At any point, I would suspect Ford would go, to the Capitol and say, this is what we need to ramp up our own. And they will be like, done. Like I could see like Uncle Sam going to help them out. And a win for Ford is a win for America. That whole thing.
Right.
So they'll do what they got to do to prop them up. And because out of spite, Elon is very vocal and they're like, yeah, we like Tesla, but that one guy, I don't know. You hear he's buying Twitter? I don't know. Like
yeah, I did hear he's buying
they act like he doesn't exist. It's weird. Like they don't want to acknowledge his accomplishments, which kind of feeds into the whole like Tesla's gonna win. Anyone who's the underdog in that sense, like there's a story there. There's a motivator there. But Ford does have the right people in their pocket to help them, and whether that means they open up new things or more things in Mexico, or they too try to do the international thing, or maybe they're like, our money really flows through North America. And as long as we operate in North America, we're fine. And our sedans are doing just fine internationally. So maybe they'll find a different way to tailor to that market. I don't really know. But as long as they don't have anything to lose financially, they're just going to kind of keep doubling. I don't think that format is going to work, to be honest, because they don't have really anything. If their EVs go under, all right, well, back to the regular Ford F-150. Like they got nothing to lose. Tesla has everything to lose, and that right there is what will keep them alive. That fight for survival, no matter what. They just happen to be the most popular vehicle, happen to be the most profitable.
I just think they're kind of past that point of having so much to lose when they have so little debt and the profitability is as high as it is.
So it worked. Like, that fuel, that ambition worked.
It did.
Ford or GM or anybody else will be like, tried it, didn't work, screw it, move on. We're on to the next thing. Like they don't. Their heart's not in it.
They're like over $100 billion in debt, and I don't see any.
Why are they not worried? Like they're not worried about it.
Because they'll get bailed out. They don't care. They're like,
my point.
We'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well,
so
how about you, Nick? What do you have predictions for Ford as a company?
I mean,
what's going to happen to them?
I am currently a Ford owner, and I could not be a bigger fan of the company Ford Motor Company. It is literally the pinnacle of vehicle design from 1907. And this design...
You sound like my brother-in-law.
I own one. It has 178,000 miles on it. It's about 3 rust particles away from falling apart. And I hate the thing. So as far as the products that Ford gives out, I could care less about them. I mean, not my cup of tea. The Lightning, not my cup of tea. Traditional pickups, not my cup of tea. The Mach-E, well, the dealer couldn't even find a key to let me get into a Mach-E. So that's how much.
I remember that story.
Yeah. And
I
think it's this key. Sorry.
This is your cup of tea.
That is my.
I see what you did there. I don't even
It's a
think he works for Tesla. I don't even think he works for
It's a Tesla hat,
T-Mobile.
audio listeners. Right.
Yeah,
That's
but
a
as far as
real
the
T-Mobile.
company, as far as the company's concerned, I mean, you're right. They are kind of too big to fail. The issue they seem to have is they've, I mean, they don't have one issue. I'm sorry. Many issues that they have.
Sure.
Is that they have first of all not very. It costs like billions of dollars to design a new engine, like billions of dollars to design one of these mechanical contraptions that turns potential energy of fossil fuels into mechanical heat and 5% of mechanical energy. So there's that,
Wow.
and they spend all this money, and they have not been. They 5 years ago, 10 years ago, they should have been putting money into EVs, and just today, okay. 5 years ago, they really started looking at EVs, but 10, 15 years ago, they should have been putting attention into EVs. And if they would spend just a small fraction of what they would spend on these new motors into EVs, and technology aside, like propulsion is one thing that they've been lacking on. The other thing that they've really been lacking on is production and ability to build it in the market that it's going to be sold at. That's something that Tesla's been working on quite a bit and recently has been doing fairly well with Fremont supplying most of the U.S. and now Giga Austin, and then we had Giga Shanghai for almost 2 years before they got shut down for a little bit, supplying most of China. Now we have Berlin coming up. They're making vehicles in the markets that they're selling them in, and Ford has parts for the U.S. coming from Mexico and from Canada, and then it's not in the area that it's being sold at, which
Right.
lots of inefficiencies there. The other thing is
They
unwillingness
sum it
of
up as it's all
management.
North America to them, and that's how they
Yeah,
justify
okay, it's
it.
all
Oh, right.
sure, whatever, NAFTA, whatever. The other probably bigger thing that overlies both of these decisions that they've made is management is just so crusty and stale. Elon talks a lot about how society needs a way to delete things, whether that's old laws or
Yes.
old people. There needs to be a way to delete old things and bring in make room for fresh new ideas. And Ford is let's just say very stuck in their ways. I'm sure there's great people who work at Ford, but the people who are making the big decisions.
Yeah, it's not 1903 anymore. The assembly
Yeah,
line
it's not
is we're
1903,
moving on.
guys. We have
We're
figured
moving
out
on.
how to use a.
Even
gas.
Henry would have found a way to move his company forward.
Yeah,
at
I
this
honestly
point.
think Henry would have been all on board with Elon's like production mindset of automation and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
that seems right up
Relative
the
to
old
his
Ford's
time,
alley.
it
Yeah,
was
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
cutting edge.
Yeah.
At the time he was around, that was the latest and greatest technology. And if he was around now, yeah, it would be electric and battery. And I think if they genuinely cared, they would understand the inefficiencies of trying to kind of retrofit the battery age into their pre-existing F-150
Right.
template. Because that saves a lot on cost, I'm sure. That makes it really easy for them to be like, oh, just reuse this, reuse that, and throw a frunk in there and then call it a Lightning.
Yeah.
But the difficult position they're in, all these legacy automakers, not just Ford, is that they have to sell EVs alongside their gas cars.
Yeah.
Tesla's never had to do that, thankfully. But with legacy auto, it's like we have to convince people that the electric one is just as good or, better than the gas. And they don't want to drastically change their gas. And fundamentally, I think that's what Tesla has taught us, is that you have to design EVs completely from the ground up, optimized for efficiency, for aerodynamics and manufacturing. Is like, you can't just repackage the same old crap into an EV. It doesn't work, or it's not as efficient. So that's why we have things like the Cybertruck being all bizarre and different, and the Model 3 design and moving up the interior and single piece castings and all that, structural packs. And it's feels like Ford is trying to say, like, well, we know that customers want EVs, but also our current lineup is really good too. So we're going to keep including what we already have with now an electric version.
They're too
so that-
fragmented, in my opinion, Ford is, because they stopped selling sedans in the U.S., but acknowledge that sedans are most popular overseas, and they sell them overseas still. They still produce them, whether it's the Ford Focus, Fiesta, Fusion, all that stuff is still very much being done overseas, but North America or U.S. is not that's not the market. We want the coupe, we want the Mustang. That's the only one that they will focus on. We're going to make the Mustang. That is your that's your non-truck, but then that type of fragmentation means you're trying to play to an audience based off of that demographic, whereas Tesla's just cleaner. Here's our four vehicles. Which one do you want? Here's our five, eventually six. Like, here's what we got. What do you want? As instead of we have this one, and it's based off of it's like, do I need a VPN to order my vehicle just so I can get the right one? Like, it's too much. Don't overcomplicate it. And Ford kind of overcomplicated it a little bit.
You can't order it on the website, dude. You need an airplane ticket.
Gotta fly there.
You gotta fly.
Basically.
Yeah.
I mean, they want to beat Tesla, but you can't order a Ford EV right now.
Yeah.
That's the hypocrisy to me. It's like all the orders are off for the Mach-E and the Lightning.
Do you
think want to top
Ford will? Both of you guys, really. Do you think that Ford will change their? Man, how much on ask this?
No.
They will.
Do you think Ford will? Okay. All right. Let me simplify it and take
Randy
it how you
has had
can.
a stroke.
Well, I don't know. I know what I'm feeling. I don't know how to put it into words. Do you think Ford will try to be more like Tesla in how they manufacture, how they do things, how they have a factory? Do you think Ford will just great artist copy, or no, good artist copy, great artist steal type of thing? Do you think they'll just copy or steal that formula? Do you think they'll adjust? Because I think that's the only way they can genuinely be more competitive with quantity to begin with. Working out of Michigan isn't enough, like building in Mexico, importing to Michigan. Like, that's just, it's cool. It's a cool, legacy in the history books. This is where we started. This is how America was founded. But cool, awesome. But it's like, it's 2022 and that's just not how we do things anymore. Are you going to have a 2022 Ford Lightning, then a 2023 Ford Lightning? Or are you just going to have Ford Lightning and update? Like, how do you think they're going to copy Tesla? Or do you think there's like, we're too legacy, we're in our ways, we paved this, we were the pioneers, we paved this, we are staying the course? What do you guys think about that?
I think
Go ahead, Nick.
I think they're going to really struggle to pivot, but I think eventually they will be able to. As we've talked, we've been shown that these companies are literally too big to fail. So goes the U.S. government, so goes the auto industry. Like that, they're not going to be around. But I think the products that they make are going to decline in quality and in competitiveness quite a bit. I think we're at that first little like spike of like, okay, now EVs are mainstream. Like, I think even with the Model 3, Randy, when you got your Model 3, when Mike got his Model Y, EVs were not like mainstream yet. They were just that was what like greeny.
I was told
people in
Tesla's a gimmick and it
California
will fail.
Or like techie people got, like, and it was Tesla, but that was it wasn't mainstream. And I think just recently, probably within the past 6 months to a year or so, Teslas feel more mainstream. Hertz bought a bunch to rent out. Like it's becoming like this mainstream thing, and it's been progressing towards it. But I think just recently it's kind of hit that first exponential growth curve where, Teslas are sold out for basically a year because they're that mainstream right now.
Right.
Everyone wants one. They can charge whatever they want. EVs are becoming more mainstream, and Tesla's at the forefront of that. I think the companies.
My uncle just bought one.
Really?
What do you get?
What do you get?
He got a used Model S.
Hey,
Cool.
cool.
Which year?
But not one that lives near me. He's in another state, but we still see him from time to time.
Which one does he
When I
have?
got the picture. I was like,
Like what year?
I only got the one picture. It doesn't have the front, so I can't tell what year it is. But
I base it based
assume
off
it's
of
an
the
older one.
yeah. If it's an older one, it's like, oh, so he's got that unlimited supercharging too. Look at him.
He might. I don't know.
might.
I didn't get much context to the text. My dad texted me about it. My uncle didn't text me directly, but it looks like. I'll just make sure there's no license. It looks like it's the silver
nice.
color.
Silver. That's
That
a good-
has to
I miss silver. I miss
be-
silver.
There was some 2016
There was.
upgraded
There was. Yeah.
fronts that were silver, but I don't know why, based on the rims and the style, I have a feeling it's like a 2014 or something. Or
Yeah,
15.
that's still good cars.
But it proves your point of just like it's now becoming even people who don't want one or don't have one yet are like planning their people,
and
my
just normal
cousins
people
and our
like your uncle, and
Yeah.
not necessarily
Yeah.
techie people like you or me. You know, like just normal people. And yeah, so I think they're really going to struggle to create products that are. They're going to struggle to pivot along with the pivot in consumer demand, and they're going to struggle making products that that match that consumer demand. But I don't think they're going anywhere. There's still going to be a bunch of diehard Ford people. There are going to be a bunch of diehard GM people that would never buy a non-General Motors product ever.
So your stance is they're going to copy Tesla's formula in sense
No,
of
I think it's going to be a very slow and painful decline, eventually ending up like the DeLorean Motor Company or something like that, where it's just like this brand.
oh, they're gonna be
that,
like they're gonna be like Saturn. Who exactly?
Ooh, exactly.
Yeah.
Where? I'm going
What?
there next week.
no one knows what Saturn is. Man, I wish Nick said something I disagreed with. But
Well, and
Worded
did I
differently.
mention that Tesla sucks?
I don't know. Word it differently then, Drew.
really, Tesla sucks.
Yeah,
So you're
Tesla
getting a
sucks.
lightning, Nick.
And it's your fault.
Oh, it's your fault.
And you're paying for it.
No, I very much side with Nick on this one. I do think they will cave and start pivoting to be more like Tesla, but only after they've tried everything else. It's not going to be in time. I think in the same way Legacy Auto was late to start realizing EVs were the future, they're going to be late to realizing how to sell them and how to build them.
Yeah.
And as more and more time goes on, Tesla will prove to be the only way or one of the very few ways to actually successfully build EVs. Because as much as there's more startups in Legacy Auto switching to EV now, it's important to remember that Tesla's basically the only one doing it profitably.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's from some happenstance coincidence. I think it's from very intentional leadership and design decisions, all the way from how the factory is laid out to how the cells are built to how the interior is designed. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna extrapolate on Nick's point and say I think they'll even get to the point where the interiors all start to look the same, similar to the smartphone world. You know, we used
I'm
to have
so
all these...
glad you brought that up because that was going to be my
This thing-
presentation to you. Why wouldn't Ford
Yeah.
do what Apple did in that sense then? Apple doesn't, they're not the first adopter. They wait until it's mature and then they come in and they streamline that. And I could see Ford doing that. Like, they're going to sit back and wait. Let Tesla, you know what? We paved the first gen. You're paving the new gen. I'm going to wait till you're done. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to throw R&D, marketing, money, this, that, and then they'll do the mass adoption of it and be so like everything else, like a smartphone. Why not then at that point, why couldn't they mass produce at the same scale? And maybe hopefully brand recognition alone will help them eclipse at some point Tesla, if that's their goal, to eclipse them.
I'm telling you that by the time they figure this stuff out, Tesla will be in a completely new realm.
I
yeah.
do
where
not
they are
disagree
now.
with that.
Yeah.
That is so true.
Heck yeah.
That's 100%. Yeah.
There's by the time Ford is where Tesla is now, Tesla's gonna be on the freaking moon. You
By-
know,
by the
they're
time-
on some
Yeah.
other.
By the time that happens, Rivian's going to be where Tesla will be in 10 years. Like, that's how far out we're talking about here. Like,
I think you're right.
Like 10 years from now, where Tesla will be is where Rivian will end up being by the time Ford
So
catches
maybe I
up
can
where
get
Tesla is today.
my truck then. My perfectly green
Maybe you'll
truck.
get the truck then. Yeah.
My Boba
no, I
Fett
think
truck.
what people are failing to grasp, and I tried to summarize this in my the Tesla tax is real video.
I didn't
is
watch.
that
You
they've
posted that
captured-
today, right? I didn't get to watch that
I
one.
did. I watched that
I think
yesterday.
it was yes.
Oh.
There was
Oh,
no
cool.
skit in it. And I almost
I'm not
watched.
checking, but I appreciate you
He said
filling
there's
me
no
in.
skit, so I'm not watching it.
There's no skit. I'm not interested. But the general premise I was trying to get across was that Tesla is. I'll just say it. I was going to save it for another video, but I'll just say it now. Tesla is the next smartphone. By the regard of, we all joke about it when the first iPhone came out. Everyone said $500 fully subsidized because people did not spend that much money on phones back then. That was not a thing.
Yeah.
But what Apple did was they found a product and a service and a feature set to justify. They carved out a new position in the market. It wasn't like 20 years ago people were all spending $1,000 on phones. That was unheard of. That was
No.
maybe if you went 40 years, you get the giant brick phone.
Yeah,
But-
but even then, Apple invented the consumer smartphone market. Before it was professional smartphones. Smartphones existed.
BlackBerry,
existed.
Blueberry,
You know,
BlackBerry.
Nokia existed.
It was all business.
But it was
said
business
Blueberry.
email, TBM. It was very. They invented a new market, and that's you're right. Like the car market exists today, but Tesla has invented the.
And EVs existed before Tesla.
Yes,
but,
they did. But
Yeah.
they were not.
But they were not
Teslas.
the consumer market.
Do we
What
want to talk
Tesla's
about the
done
Leaf?
is they found in that stretch is that people like all of us who would never spend this kind of money on a vehicle
Yeah.
are doing
Yeah.
it. Like my uncle, I know you guys don't know him and we don't talk about him on the show much, but he was not the kind of guy I ever expected to buy a Tesla. He's just, he's very friendly, straight, run-of-the-mill guy. He seemed like, he uses an old iPhone, doesn't upgrade his phone. He's not a techie person, okay? I feel confident saying that.
Yeah.
And he felt confident enough in, that's what I want. That's what I want to put my money towards. And especially with gas prices and everything, like it is super accelerated this transition now to where people are like, well, if I'm going electric, I don't want to feel like I'm compromising.
That's right.
I don't want to settle for a Bolt. I don't want to settle for a Leaf. I want something I enjoy driving, even if it's way more expensive than what I normally buy. And in that regard, Tesla has carved out this new market. It's like Tesla's going after a new demographic that didn't really exist before. There were cars, but not like this.
Yeah.
And because Tesla's prioritized things that people are looking for, and I really wish more of the competition, like the startups and stuff, would look at, okay, what has Tesla done that has driven this stretch or this rearranging of investment where suddenly guys like us are like, okay, yeah, we could 50,000, 60,000, yeah, sounds good, I guess. Even though before we
Do you
were
want that in check?
never like that. Yeah. How are we going to finance this?
Do you want my
there's
firstborn? I mean,
so many.
What do we got to do?
Yeah, how do we got to do it? It's like, pay attention. What are they doing?
Yeah.
And I think too many legacy automakers are just like, oh, it's just electric. And it's like, that's one part of it, but there's a bunch of other stuff. And I think it's the software. I think it's, this gets underappreciated, honestly. I don't think enough attention gets put towards this, but it's the size of the display. The fact that you have an actual screen in there that you can browse the web or watch movies, or that it's not that it's necessarily your next computer today, but that over time with software, that screen allows for plenty of potential because it's hardware, and the other EVs on the market aren't offering that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And once Tesla continues to ramp up production and realizes, like everyone else, like Ford or GM, oh, you can streamline a bunch more stuff if you just keep things simple and go minimal. There used to be very differently looking phones on the market. Phones used to have all these different weird design quirks, and some folded
Gimmicks
this way and some
yeah.
folded this way.
To the T.
And
All
some
that
had, keyboards and some displays were like this and like this. And now you look at the phone market, and they've all basically fallen into the
All
iPhone formula.
rectangles.
It's all glass rectangles, and
Some
they don't
rectangles
have
fold.
removable backs. They don't have replaceable batteries.
Yeah.
They don't have expandable storage, even though that used to be a selling point. That's probably where this Ford has dials and buttons, and I like my car to have physical dials, and I like the physical stuff. I think that's going to turn into the exact same thing. It's a slower transition because people don't buy cars as often as phones.
That's right.
So we don't see that acceleration as quickly. But the diehards out there are just, I think, traditionally older. And it's only a matter of time before the younger generation. What are the
They get old
teens
and
interested
crusty.
in? Yeah, they get old and crusty. What are the new generations going to be interested in? I don't think it's going to be the car with the most dials or the
No.
car with the most legacy approach to interior because they don't have. Imagine what the
That's the
generation is going to look like. when
iPad
you-
generation. They grew up on touch interface.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they grew up with touch. They were using iPads as babies.
Yeah.
These new kids.
They don't
what
know
cars
a
are they
world
gonna
where
want
they
when
have
get
dial
older?
up and you have to have a little ball to move the mouse around. They don't know that.
Yeah.
Rotary phones.
Yeah. Are they gonna want something that reminds them of
Hello,
what their
operator?
grandfather
Hello?
drove?
Hello.
Yeah.
Stop.
Exactly.
Can you please call the queen?
Yeah.
They are just so Tesla is so future focused. I think that's why I love them so much, is that they skipped so much learning and so much trial and error that the other guys have to do and still do, to the point that in the future I do think, as boring as it is, and a lot of people are like, oh no, it's gonna take away characters, like the emphasis is gonna be more and more on software and not the interior design in the future. And I think 20 or 40 years from now, most EVs are all going to have that big landscape center display, and they're going to have a lot less complexity and a lot less dials, and more Tesla design traits are just going to find their way, just like with Android and Samsung and Google. All this, okay, just make a glass rectangle. You get the bezels as thin as you can, and Tesla will probably be way ahead of them on that because they'll have the better software, they'll have the better silicon, they'll have the better displays, and they're just going to continue this trend of trailing behind, trying to catch up, and then realizing, oh, okay, I guess they were right about that.
Yeah.
And if they were smart, they would just pivot as quickly as possible to emulate their exact business. That's how I'd answer the question.
All right. I don't remember what the initial
How about
question
you,
was.
Randy?
What was? I don't even remember the question anymore. You
Do
you
think
had
Ford
me
will pivot
captivated.
do you want to pivot Ford to? Do you think Ford will pivot to become like a Tesla clone, basically?
I think
Start following the same business model.
I think once they get new leadership, they will swallow their pride. I think leadership will dictate that. So maybe not as long of a dragging it out as like this picture's being painted. What's dragging out is out with the old mentality and in with new blood, whether it's somebody from the inside or whether it's somebody who's outsourced from working on the software stuff. If you get I hate throwing that word around because it's so, but if you get an actual visionary like leadership guy who can think like that, might not have the technical set, but if he can at least point in that direction, I think a change in leadership. Not that there's anything wrong with the leadership now. I don't know. Who am I to say? But you need to have that new blood energy, and not at the ground level where they're doing the software or the future Ford, whatever they're the Ford vision, Ford. Anyway, not there. Like at the top. You need to have those Johnny Ives and stuff there where it needs the snowball effect down. So my answer is more of the management, the organizational structure, not necessary. Once the organizational structure changes, the operation structure changes, and that the logistics will fall in place as need be. But I think Ford will have to swallow their pride, and once you get somebody who's not as traditional, and they'll be like, yeah, they did it right. This is the iPhone of cars. We have to do what we have to do, because money is the deciding factor for all of it. And the money don't lie. You know, it's a public company, so it's all right there out in the open, and the money doesn't lie. And this is bigger than Ford too. I'd say anybody who wants to get into that space will just have to, by design, copy, straight up copy, and try to steal and make it their own. And Tesla encourages it. They do it. You know, whatever it takes. I don't care what you do. You're not interfering with my thing. It gets us. Our vision is not about this company as a whole. It's about getting us all transitioned over. So, I feel, from what it sounds like between you two, I feel like they will transition sooner than what you two would have thought. But it is contingent on change of leadership. Unless I'm wrong. Unless this the current CEO and that top group right there is like, yeah, you know what? Fine. Ford doesn't strike me as that type of company. They're all about the American made, America first,
Yeah, I don't see them as fast moving. I think things that are abundantly obvious will still take years for them to click.
Yeah.
Like the fact that the Lightning still has a physical antenna.
Yeah.
Is like, guys, come on. Like, serious.
It's a lightning
we can move
rod.
past
That's what
this.
they
I
should
don't know the
advertise
last
it as,
time I've
the
seen
lightning
an
rod.
antenna.
The rod. That's what it is.
God, an antenna. Wow.
That's how you charge it.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So I don't have as long, intricate answers, but that's pretty much because you guys kind of you said everything I was thinking, but I think we have to change the people, change that. If you brought someone who's not married to the brand, you know what? You need like a Tim Cook. You need someone kind of born who's like, yeah, I worked at Compaq and IBM, and now I think this company is great. We can make it better. And maybe I have it wrong. Maybe you don't need vision. Maybe you need a Tim Cook guy who's like, this is what it is, and this is what we're gonna do. And I changed my answer. Yeah, you don't need a visionary. You need a Tim Cook for Ford.
Yeah.
Someone who could just like detach emotion and be like, yep, this is what we're doing, and get that going.
Because Tim's a numbers guy.
Yeah. Somebody who's visionary might be
EV
too.
don't lie.
If you have a visionary, they might be too in love with the history. What would Henry Ford do? And blah 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 blah. No, you need a numbers guy. You need a Tim Cook. Yeah.
Basically, that's what I don't believe will come to power. Is you need someone who doesn't respect the history, which is not going to be easy.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to find someone to put in power that's like, we need to throw all this out. We just need to chuck
This isn't
all this in
working.
the trash.
What they need, Nick loves to do this. What they need is a quadrant: consumer, professional, sedan, truck. Everything else, cancel it. Yeah, I got you, Nick. Oh, I know what
It's
gets
a crossover truck,
Nick's
probably.
going. Yeah, I got you, Nick. I know how you work. I love me a good
I
quadrant.
think the numbers will become clear when Cybertruck starts outselling F-150, which
Yeah.
I do think will happen. It's not going to happen soon, but Tesla can ramp faster than anybody, and there is so much demand for the Cybertruck, and I know that they're going to be production constrained for a long time, so we're not going to see it take over overnight, but
Yeah.
10, 20 years or so, I do think Tesla will price vehicles accordingly to match demand. And at first, because demand's so high, it's going to be $100,000 truck, super expensive. As time goes on, and they want to address a larger and larger market, they can just because their margins are so high already.
Yeah, I mean, heck, they could sell a Model 3 for probably if they could deliver a Model 3 tomorrow, I bet you they could sell one for $100,000. Someone out there would buy a Model 3 for $100,000 if it came tomorrow.
Wow.
Wow. We are not the
Maybe
same.
used. I don't know. I was going to say used market might shorten the delivery timeline, but
I don't know. I'm sure that there's some people out there who are so frustrated at this.
Here's how I sell my
Supply
Model 3
constraint.
used. Mine comes with a mobile connector. Cha-ching, 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 cha-ching.
you get instant
Cha-ching.
offers on that.
All of the people want.
I
it.
wouldn't be surprised if I can sell mine for 80. I would not be surprised.
Yeah, with a green wrap. Yeah, and you have FSD.
Green
So,
wrap, FSD, mobile connector, and
Yeah,
it's
heck
the
yeah.
mileage is low
Mobile
because people
connector.
care about the mileage for whatever reason. Like the speed, the
it's-
odometer will be like, oh, look at that. You know, I'm under what I should be for 3 years. So all that stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if I sell it for 80. I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, we'll never know exactly. Same with ours. We'll
That's
never
right.
know.
Guess we'll never know.
But
I'll live in pretend land.
better question is, will Tesla ever catch up on demand?
Debatable.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, well, what time scale are we talking
hard.
about here?
I would say once
Like, maybe that's the better question. How long till Tesla catches up on demand?
3 years.
3
So you think in
years?
3 years you'll be able to order a Tesla and get it within like weeks, not months?
In 3 years, you'll get what happened with me. Order a Tesla in 1 week, it will be ready for pickup.
Can you imagine how many vehicles Tesla would have to build to get to that
Okay, I
point?
could not disagree more with that, Randy. I'm thinking more like 10 years.
10. Oh
yeah.
no.
Because
You're right.
Elon
There is a
said they want to
disagreement
get to
here.
about 20% market share is the end goal, right? And they're 2% market share right now. So that's like a 10x off of what they're currently selling is where they want to end up. So they're not going to be slowing down until they hit that point.
Prices, buddy. Prices are doing this.
Prices are going up. Okay. So you
And
think
that
demand will
means-
taper off?
The what would taper off?
Okay, so in order
Demand
to get
will
to the point
taper?
where you could have
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So if you in
yeah.
order to get to the point where you can pick up a Model 3 in a week, you're saying it would get so expensive that there would be less demand for the Model 3.
I think it's actually going to get so tapered off that it's actually going to have an adverse effect. I think we will see a correction happen.
I would love it if that happened. I just have been waiting for it for years and it's never happened.
Right now, we are. Here's why I think this, because we are still in early adoption phase. We're coming out of it though, but what gets us out of early adoption is no longer about trying to sell a vision, a mission statement, or whatever. No, we're past that. It is now tangible operations. Tesla's coming online all over with all these factories. That's when he was giving like, okay, with Giga Texas, Berlin, and he's just, he's showing all these things, and this is going to output that up. I think it'll do a great job starting to play catch up. They have to produce more than they're ordering, and it will happen. That's just, I think the numbers, me trying to be as much of a numbers guy and try to take emotion out of it, there are more cars that are going to roll off the assembly line than people placing orders. Statistically, that's not going to happen. People who want the car already made up their mind. It's about getting their funding maybe from the consumer end. Caveats I give that's going to drag it out are things on the enterprise side, rental car companies and etc. That stuff will be interesting, but I think that's already accounted for, to be honest. I think if that's where they're at, they're going to meet that obligation based off of some type of agreement or contract made, and they're just going to focus on enterprise on that side while staying on the path of what they're doing on the consumer side. Cars will just constantly be going off the assembly line at a rate that has to be faster than people placing orders, and the hype is still there. That's why I think there'll be a correction. Tesla still has hype. They're very good at hype, and they know they're good at hype. And they'll, as much as you're willing to give them money, they'll take your money and they'll keep playing into the hype. But eventually, it's not that the hype will die down. It's just by market demand and a capitalist economy, you have competitors ready to launch, and you're not going to keep 100% of your reservations from Tesla. That's just that won't happen by own necessities of the consumer. So it'll taper off in the sense that it might get too expensive. It'll taper off because competitors will be launching and they will take their chances with them. And on the assembly line, it's just going to roll out with all these cars. They're just going to roll out in a way that will play catch up for a while. Then the people are placing their old orders. We're not going to have constantly, 5,000 orders every single day for the next 3 years. That's not going to happen. What will happen is people will find alternatives, go to the used market, find something that our brains work for. Like, well, you know what? A $40,000 Ford Lightning, I'll take my chances with that, see how that works, and the price alone will be enough. You know, how many times have we talked about in some way, shape, or form that Rivian has something, Ford has something. If we were in a position where we needed to have a truck, thank God none of us are in that position, but if you need it, you're not going to wait for Cybertruck because you can't wait for it. So stuff like that will happen. So I think, I give it 36 months for them to play catch up.
Okay.
Assuming
I guess
we're
given,
online
given
and stuff
that,
like
I can agree with that. I don't. Let's just say I hope I'm I'm being more optimistic about the economic foreseeable future than I think you were being, and I think that's where our difference is, because if economic things don't change, I don't foresee really much changing in demand. But
what's it called? Ebb and flow. Like everything's a give and take, pull and push. Like nothing's stagnant. It's like a rubber band. We're gonna.
I side more with Nick's original prediction on this one.
10
the more
years.
I think about it. I think I don't know about 10, but longer than 3, somewhere in between maybe. But the thing I'm remembering is that the demand, Tesla said themselves on the earnings call, the demand caught them off guard this year, last year. They were not anticipating that huge influx, because I remember not too long ago where it was a weekly thing. It was not it did not used to be this way. And I think a lot about like what changed exactly.
FOMO.
Is everybody
It's FOMO.
Is it investors? Are there investors following the company that are like, oh, maybe I should consider this? Or is it a bunch of people suddenly all wanting to go Tesla at the same time?
Nothing changed from when I placed my order and when you guys placed your order. We have been on the same mindset from the beginning. FOMO happened.
For us, nothing changed.
Yeah, but I don't think we're that much different, because we're not engineers. We're not car fanatics. We're just people who are like, all right, the math makes sense. That's where we've always.
I just don't know if the fear of missing out is that it implies that there's a timeline, like you're gonna miss out if you don't get it now.
I think it's FOMO on prices and FOMO on delivery and FOMO on maybe even a status symbol in some capacity.
Maybe. I just think what it is awareness of the brand and of the product getting better and better over time, because FOMO may play a part in it, but as we know, Tesla doesn't spend any on advertising. I think this huge surge came from Tesla's growth being exponential, in that the more people that buy them, the more people are aware of them. And as they become more and more popular, more and more of the public starts to see, oh, this is actually kind of doable. And
if
no,
not
you don't
FOMO, then
need
I would say
400
herd
miles.
mentality. Then, if it's not FOMO, it's herd mentality.
There's kind of a negative connotation to it, but I think hype is a better description of just like realization that the product exists and that it's somewhat feasible to buy, even if you get a loan and don't pay for it all up front. Like, it's certainly caught on, and I don't think that wildfire effect of like, oh, this person buys one, now there's this many more people who are aware that Tesla exists, which turns into more potential customers as they become a bigger and bigger position on the map. And there's more and more vehicles delivered. There's more and more people aware of the brand, more and more people eyeing the prices. But
those conversations, if a one person has that, everyone now's aware, they don't pay for advertising, because we are the advertisement. People are going to ask questions, and when people stop asking EV questions, how does it get gas and all, when that stops, that's when it starts to taper off, because then it's just common knowledge, like how to swipe up to go to your home screen. Some things will just eventually become common knowledge, and that's what to do with a smartphone. I think the more I think about that smartphone Tesla thing, it's a perfect analogy, because that's what it is.
It's
eventually,
very similar. Yeah.
People will stop asking what seems to be obvious questions for some, and then things I would never even thought about for others. Every EV, especially a Tesla, because it looks so different, is a conversation starter. People ask, especially with my green wrap, God, they see a Cybertruck, they're gonna ask questions. That is the marketing, and we are the advertisers in a sense. And then the fact that
we're seeing what demand is for super expensive Teslas.
Yeah.
They've never been more expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have not seen the wait times go down.
Yeah.
They've continued to get worse throughout the year. And now base Model Y is listed at February to May. And that's at $63,000. So to me, the fact that the timeline keeps getting pushed back further every time we check it is evidence that despite the price hikes, demand is not slowing. And I do honestly think there's a chance of this ripple effect of, well, there's more deliveries now, there's more awareness, there's more people eyeing the website, more people riding in them, and now thinking, well, I rented one at Hertz or whatever. Now, well, I might consider one. I wouldn't be shocked if this is just how it remains for long periods of time, because there would just have to be some kind of drastic shift in public perception to get to the point where people stop ordering them, because clearly the prices aren't stopping people.
Yeah. I think that when I say status symbol, there is a point where people just can't afford it. Like, I can pay 15,000 tops, maybe 20 after everything, but that's my cap. That's just my budget. They don't see
Sure.
They don't see a purpose in spending anything more for something in like a used vehicle. They're a used vehicle buyer, and I get it. Some people are like, it is what it is. Okay, gas is expensive. Well, guess what? Life's expensive, and that's how it is. Insurance is expensive, of any kind of insurance, health, auto, you name it. That's the necessary evil, so to say. And I think Tesla didn't want to do this, but they are lower class, upper middle, like lower middle class.
Upper lower.
Yeah, I like what do we define, like people who make a certain amount, like hopefully they live within their means, but even if they don't, even they're not driving around with Bugattis or or Audis or any Mercedes Benz or anything like that. So anyway, all that to say that, like, I think just the people who can afford it, they're like, yeah, you know what, name your price, it is what it is. But then there's some people who are just like, I can't, I'm frugal, or I just don't have the money.
Oh yeah.
And
not everyone can buy one, I'm sure.
And I think the people who can, they're putting up now because they see the prices going, and that's why it will taper off in that sense. So, okay, not FOMO or not herd mentality, but everyone's like, oh, you got one. We're in the same kind of like lifestyle. I think I'm missing out. Like, that's right. That's where I was forming that whole FOMO thing. It's like, oh, okay, I'm not seeing something here that you guys are. I got a question, so I'm going to ask you questions.
I hope I'm wrong, because I want the delivery timelines to go back down, but that would be another. Nice. So all the subjects we'll just have to keep waiting for, and we'll see. Yeah. So I appreciate you guys for making the time, and we hope everybody has an excellent rest of their week. Take care, all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.